trying to do, but Beasty's going to be dropping right away here. He's going to stim in and probably take out a lot of those turrets, and his multi-prong harass is so nice. Beasty's doing a great job with this, and honestly, that's what's keeping him in the game. The fact that he's been constantly denying his bases with these drops, with the harass, whereas, you know, Kawhi is doing a great job, and he's been way ahead for a lot of it, but he does not drop. He's just sitting back for so long.
Yeah, we see all those defenses going down for Kawhi. Small drop here from BC. Just 8 Marines clearing off that base, making it harder and harder for Kawhi to expand here. And both players just continuously trading the supply lead. Now it's back down to about even 187 to 190 as Kawhi reestablishing himself in that top, sending some Marines over there and looking to expand once again to this pocket. But it's still in vision of that Zelnaga tower.
Yeah, and I mean, Kawhi's trying to push forward a little bit. He's going to be able to snipe off one tank. Oh, he actually pulls back at last second, so he lost a couple Marines there for nothing. And I mean, Kawhi is really pretty much broke now, but BC's once again going into the Raven transition. It didn't work out for him last game. Do you think that's the right choice?
I think it's a little bit too early, but he definitely has a ton of gas banked up, so wants to be able to utilize that. The expansion over here is going to fall. In the meantime, Kawhi is taking that 6 o'clock once again.
It seems insane, man. He's killed like 6 or 7 bases this game.
Yeah, they need to have a command center kill count as well as a worker kill count. Speaking of the worker kill count, 44 SCVs killed by Beastyqt, 30 killed by KawaiiLighT. Looking at the Harvesters, 32 for Kawhi, 50 for Beastyqt. But that is going to mean that Kawhi's army is a little bit larger at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely will. I really think that it's a pretty even game at this point. You know, it could go either way. The upgrades on air are still heavily in the favor of Kawhi though, and I mean, Kawhi has gotten a nice Viking count now. So with the Yamato cannons, with the battle cruisers, and the Vikings, he definitely could win this air battle. He has to be careful though. I want to see him pull back that injured battle cruiser and get it repaired up once again.
And right now we see that the upgrades for the mech, both 0-2 on those tanks. A complete stalemate here in the center. Again, the air control is what matters. Both players posturing with their Marines, though, as Kawhi just doing a little bit of harassment over here with just 2 Marines actually going to get a couple kills.
Yeah, so once again, Kawhi is just going to be pushing forward a little bit here, trying his best to take some positioning, and these tanks are pretty exposed, man. He's going to be able to push forward with his battle cruisers. If he has those Vikings there in support, a lot of PDDs are going down. He is using Yamato cannons. He is shooting off a couple of them, sniping down a lot of those Vikings. It's unclear who's going to be winning this battle with the Marine support now coming in. Kawhi's going to be forced to retreat, and he loses a lot of those BCs.
And right now we do see that the mining from Beasty is a lot stronger here. But Kawhi mining from that bottom south base might be able to take the lead here, but Beasty right now back in the supply count, 200 out of 200, whereas Kawhi is at 174 out of 200 at the moment. But pushing forward, the Vikings might even take out this command center, and that's going to give him a nice little edge once again as the supply is getting closer and closer, now within 11, as Kawhi pushing forward aggressively. Needs to get sieged up though. The Marines from both players pushing forward. The Viking count from Kawhi might be enough here as he takes out another command center from Beasty. Beasty kind of caught out of position here. The sensor tower not giving enough forewarning as he's trying to get sieged up in proper place.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be tough, man. The battle cruiser is tanking a lot of the damage while the Vikings from Kawhi are just dealing all the damage in the background. The Ravens have all fallen now. He has complete air control. The battle cruiser does fall, but look at all these low HP Marines. He's going to retreat back to his siege tanks, and Kawhi has taken a really nice position. He needs to secure some more bases, though. He needs to take, you know, the top left 2 bases again, because the position that he's in right now, it's going to be very hard for BC to push them.
And looking at these expansions here, getting a little bit sparse from both players, but Kawhi, the first one to get into his opponent's production, it looks like, taking down one of these factories, still with a decent tank count on the low ground, and he's going to be able to push these units back, but right now, Kawhi was with the massive supply lead. BC retaking it at 169 to 162. Little skirmishes in the center continuously happening, but BC managing to hold that Zelnaga tower, cutting off the reinforcements.
Yeah, he definitely is, and this has really turned into a long game, man. It's just like, once these players get into these kind of positions, it's so hard to ever break them. And BC is going to be pushing down on this left side, but there's a ton of forces there in position for Kawhi. He's going to be pretty exposed on this bottom base, though, and it looks like he will be able to get up there and get a nice siege position, start shelling away at that planetary fortress. But I think Kawhi is just going to go for a bust, man. He's just going to push forward here and just actually try to go straight for the throat. If he goes straight for the base of Beasty, can he really stop him?
I don't know. Kawhi has fallen in supply drastically, 130 to 175. but he's still got units over here by his opponent's base. The base at the 6 o'clock does go down. A couple SCVs going down as well. The Marines from Beasty doing their job, clearing out these expansions.
And that was the last mining base, man.
It was the last mining base. There's like 0 mineral pouches left. He's got 2 with about 300 minerals left. But he's at almost no mining. Yeah, 0 mineral income right now for him.
Yeah, that's rough, and BC is up 60 supply now. He's just been doing a fantastic job this whole game at denying those expansions, harassing constantly, and now as a result of it, he's finally reaping those rewards, man. He's pretty airtight in this bottom base. He's still mining away there. He's going to be maxed out relatively soon, and his opponent has the same same tank count, but half the Marines.
Yeah, this is such a stalemate, essentially. Still, Empire without enough units, I think, to break Kawaii's tank count, but Kawhi essentially broke.
Yeah, Kawhi is definitely in a horrible spot, and he needs to float a CC over. I mean, take this pocket one from the bottom and float it somewhere. Take the main, float it somewhere. The natural, float it somewhere, because he needs to get that mining going. He doesn't even have anywhere where he can drop his mules at this point.
Right, and what can he do? I mean, he's got Vikings scouting every which way, trying to do something here, but the upgrade advantage is not paying off so far with that air battle, and I'm not even sure why. It just seems like the Marine count from BC has been enough, and he just hasn't been able to push forward enough. But he had such a great concave for so much of this game, and now Beasty being so resilient, up about 50 supply, but neither player willing to engage at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, who can blame them? It's like, it's been such a long game. Neither of them really wants to try to throw it away at this point. You have to be so careful. But BC definitely has a big advantage. All he has to do is keep denying these expansions. As long as he does that, he's going to be in an amazing spot.
And BC actually going for a 51-minute Seeker missile upgrade. Not even sure what he's going to do with that, but maybe wanting to break the tank lines because he knows he's got that Marine advantage.
Yeah, he definitely does, man. He has a massive Marine count. Is he finally going to push forward here? I'm not sure, because it's so dangerous. It's like, even though he has a big lead, if you push into that many tanks, he could just evaporate so fast.
Yeah, such a back and forth. Right now, Kawhi reestablishing himself on the Zelnaga towers, so putting Beasty on the back foot, but Beasty maxed out compared to the 135 supply, and Kawhi just barely producing anything. We see 2 more SCVs, but again, no real mining going on.
Yeah, none at all. I mean, he's just so far behind at this point. I mean, the bank is still going up here for Beasty, and it's a really rough position to be in.
Looks like Kawhi was distance mining from that 6 o'clock, now has re-landed in orbital there. Looks like from maybe that 3rd base. The orbital still in his main, not going anywhere. And being unable to take this top left expansion, Beasty mining off of his bottom right, but that's about it. He has retaking that top pocket 3rd, essentially, but only 1 SCV there at the moment. And looking at the harvester counts, 33 to 49. But yeah, these tanks still, from both players, just seem unwilling to move.
Yeah, and I mean, eventually, Kawhi will get maxed out again. I mean, it will happen, even with the long distance.
Here comes Beasty's move, it looks like. He's got the Ravens here. They have enough energy for PDD. He might need to throw down the PDDs to get the Seeker missiles off on those tanks, but I guess he pulls back, realizing that the Viking count for Kawhi is too strong. He cannot drop on those tanks, but small little drop over here at the 6 o'clock, trying to take down some units, but there is a tank in place, so that is going to be futile as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely will be, and Kawhi has now secured this bottom middle base again, so he is mining, and I don't know, I mean, I just feel like BC just needs to be decisive. He keeps getting way ahead in these games, but then he just doesn't have like the killer instinct, it's seeming to me. You know, he's never really kind of just saying, okay, this is it, let's go for it.
And now we look at the income tab. BC headed down towards 0, whereas Kawhi has re-established himself on these couple bases. He's distance mining from one of these top left. We see an orbital floating over there. He's re-established himself in the 6 o'clock. And that tank count, even though BC has had the supply lead, he's still at a 50 supply lead. He's been unable to break it, and now that's going to be his downfall, I think.
Yeah, it definitely could be, man. And look at this position that BC is going to be taking here. He can come in from the bottom, or rather, you know, come in from behind if he wants to set up this flank. But Kawhi has scanned it. He's trying to move back, and this is a great move though from BC because he has such a larger army, man. If Kawhi has to split his forces into 2, I feel like he can just get busted.
Oh, but tanks sieging up in time for Kawhi. He's going to give up part of that Zelnaga watchtower, but Beasty is seeming unwilling to dart forward. Just a little bit too precarious of a position.
Yeah, and like we said, I mean, it's a 55-minute game. Kawaii's actually going to try to bust this. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, he's going to definitely... Oh, my God, that was a big mistake. Empire BC moved forward there. He just had to sit back, buy his tanks, and he would have been able to take everything out and keep his Marines alive. But instead, he stimmed forward, and he just lost a massive chunk of supply to that huge tank line from KawaiiLighT.
Yep, but despite the losses, he's still ahead in supply and has now been able to take that 12 o'clock position. Raven and Viking battle going on for this key air dominance at the ramp. But right now, Kawhi reposturing himself. He has an off-place command center to try to mine from this base. Still mining from the 6 o'clock. BC's been unable to harass that pretty much, even though he does see it on his sensor tower.
Yeah, and I mean, he maybe could go out there and throw down a drop or something. He's been so good with that, but with the 2 tanks and the Marines, it really wouldn't be effective, so he's not even going to bother. But how can he really try to finish off this game? I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of massive doom drop in the main or something. He needs to make some sort of decisive move, I feel like, because, you know, Kawhi now has 2 mining bases, and they're back once again on pretty even footing.
Oh, and some small skirmishes going on. There's a Seeker missile, huge Seeker missile. Oh, wow, taking down a decent chunk of Marines there. And when you have energy units like the Raven, you can trade for free. You don't have to spend any money on it. And with how passive these players are being, that's exactly what they want. They want to be able to get money, essentially, or damage done just with time.
Yeah, they definitely do, man. It's like, I don't know how it's ever going to end. It just seems like no one really wants to push it. It's so tough to be in this position because they're both moving their troops so well. They're getting in great defensive positions. They're reacting accordingly, and we've seen time and time again. You know, if you stim into siege tanks, you just get absolutely obliterated.
Yep, right now Kawhi trying to utilize his air control with these Vikings to push forward, but the high ground control from Beastyqt and the permanent scans. But oh, here go the Ravens. Seeker missiles going off on a couple of those Vikings, and also splashing some of those tanks. But does he have enough to actually break forward and charge down the hill towards that most recent expansion from Kawhi?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice, and having these energy units in late game situations is so big, but he's actually going to lose 2 or 3 of those Ravens for free, and now his Marines are on move command, or not move command, but they're not on the whole position rather, so they got baited.
Huge attack coming at the 6 o'clock, we almost missed it. BC finally doing his job, taking down the expansion that was giving Kawhi a nice little comeback, but now the tanks and the Marines able to start shelling away at that orbital command, and looking at the Harvester count, Kawhi now down to about half the mining of his opponent, still distance mining from that 3rd and losing the 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. The orbital's burning as well. A big bust, though, coming up here. Is it going to be able to work? He's sniping off even more Ravens, so he's doing a really nice job. He's going to be able to kill this orbital for sure. BC's going to go forward with those Marines, but he has to be careful because there are the siege tanks in the background. But instead, BC's going to move up, try to take control of his Selnaga watchtower.
Man, both players trading those expansions, and we're back to square one. Looks like both of these players are very low mining at the moment, and the SCV's having to transfer back to that sparse mineral patches over here at this pocket expansion. The orbital right now is burning at the 6 o'clock, but still alive for KawaiiLighT. Supplies right now 146 to 194, with Beasty still with a significant lead, but not holding the Xel'Nagas.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost control of that. He's maxed out once again, but, you know, Kawhi is being so resilient. You know, he's been behind for like 10, 15, 20 minutes now, and he's going to move forward with his siege tanks. He's taking a lot of hits. Here comes some Seeker missiles. Is it going to land? Wow, big hit's going to take out about 5 Vikings.
And in the meantime, we do have the 6 o'clock base being taken by Beasty here. So he's got his forces split up, trying to defend both of these expansions, but doing a relatively good job. He's down about, ahead about 50 supply, and that means that these tank counts at both of these bases are relatively strong. But again, Kawhi holding that center so strongly. He's got a nice little stranglehold on those Xel'Naga towers, and these Ravens, though, are doing a really excellent job at trying to just win that war of attrition versus Kawhi.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, energy units so good in these late game situations because they're always going to be useful. You know, Templars, Infestors, Ravens. You can constantly throw out the Fungals, the Storms, those Seeker missiles, the PDDs. So they're just going to be so invaluable, especially as players are getting lower and lower on the economy. Yeah,
once they start to mine out, and we are seeing that situation, a lot of these bases are mined out, you only have time to waste. And if your time is doing attack damage, that is exactly what you need. And right now we do see the production tab empty for Kawhi, but still going strong for Beastyqt as he is now taking that 6 o'clock and still mining off of that expansion over here in the top right.
Yep. So, you know, there is, let's look at the income tab. We have, you know, only 20 harvesters left for Kawhi. He's really hurting in that regard, but he can't really afford to replace them just yet. 2 more gas has been secured here for Beasty. So his economy is running smoothly. He's doing a great job, but, you know, how does this game end?